Hello, everyone. In this episode of Aswatona podcast, you will get to meet Rima Bouguenoun. Based in Malaysia, Rima is a content creator from Algeria. She tells us how she uses her personal stories to empower others. Let's listen to her together.
My name is Rima. I'm Algerian. I live in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia since 3 years because of my work. I got a job like 3 years ago, so I moved here. I grew up in Algeria, Algiers, the capital. I've been living there my whole life. It's not my hometown. My father is from another city that I love, that is in the east of Algeria. It's called Gelma. But I grew up in Algiers, the capital, which gave me like a lot of opportunities in terms of jobs, and the lifestyle is different and everything. I grew up pretty lucky with a very supportive family. Had an amazing childhood. I used to play a lot. I had a lot of friends. It was not easy all the time because of the situation in the 90s, but I had a great time. All right, so whatever I've been through, of course, is gonna influence what I create, the content I create. Either it's podcast or just like reels on Instagram or videos on YouTube. Of course, it is influenced by whatever I've been through because I am sharing my own experience. I am sharing what I have been through my work. My personal relationships, my friendships, my family, everything. I like to share this experience to make people feel that they are not alone. Because most of the time, when we're having, especially a hard time, we feel like we are all alone and nobody can understand what we are going through. So, this is what I try to do. I try to make people understand that they are not alone. We all here struggling with the same issues. We are all here struggling to travel, like a lot of people from my country, and that's why I started to share travel content because like with an Algerian passport is not that easy to travel. With an Algerian salary is not also easy to travel. So I wanted to show people that if I did it, you can do it too. For the podcast in Algeria, there is no much people who do like a podcast, but still there are few of them who are like trying to get into this field, like the podcasting, because I feel like it is something we should give the opportunity to, because when you're driving, for example, you cannot watch a video. When you are doing something, you cannot watch a video, but you can listen to a podcast. When you're doing something else, you can listen to a podcast. You can focus on that podcast and learn something out of it instead of just like having like the visual type of content. And I see it more as an opportunity, more than a challenge. It is a challenge itself, but still it is an opportunity because I feel like I still have a chance. It's not crowded, like the podcast environment is not that crowded. I still can have my voice in between, the few people who are doing podcasts. There are a few of them, and I know like this generation, this new generation are more into podcast, more than like the older generation who are used to like the visual type of content. I see it more as an opportunity more than a challenge. The challenge would be the topics that we can like talk about, social topics, politics, I don't know, like psychology, stuff like this. This can be a challenge for an Algerian society, but as a podcast itself, I think like it has all its chances like to blow up. For me, like my favorite type of podcast is the interviews. I feel like it has more interesting informations. The fact that there is like two people just discussing and talking, it's more relatable. You feel like you are just with them, and like just sitting there and listening to them talking. That's the type of podcast I like to listen to, and that's also the type of podcast I like to do. Because right now I'm preparing for a podcast where I am planning to invite people to share their experiences. I'm going to start with Algerian expats all around the world. I want them also, besides sharing my own experience on this podcast, but I want also to hear other people how they did, how they, like, found themselves in Ireland or in Senegal or, like, anywhere. How did you do that? Because when I'll be sharing my experience, it's going to be focused here in Malaysia. I'm going to be telling people how I did to come here. But at the same time, there are so many people who made it somewhere else. So I want also, like, I want to hear and I want people to, listen to that. And I feel like for the podcast, it's easier for people to share their experience because most of them, they are not comfortable in front of the camera. So I feel like this will give the opportunity to more people to share their experience better than just focusing on the videos and lose, like, this opportunity. So I want to, like, to start doing that. It's going to be launched, like, these days, and I can't wait, like, to share. I had few interviews already recorded, and I am planning to have others, and I really can't wait to share that because it's really interesting. Well, it was my pleasure to have this interview. So nice to meet you.